So you're planning a brick project. Maybe it's a garden wall, maybe a whole new extension. Well, the very first step before anything else is getting your material estimate right. Today, we're going to break down exactly how the pros do it so you can save a whole lot of time, money, and stress. Okay, let's get into it. Just think about it for a second. Before you get to this satisfying part, actually laying the bricks, there's that moment of doubt. You're looking at a plan, you're trying to figure out how much stuff to order, and that right there, that's the biggest headache that trips up pretty much everyone, from first-timers to even seasoned builders. And yeah, getting that number wrong leads to one of two super frustrating situations. Order too few, and boom, your project hits a wall. Literally, you're stuck, waiting for another delivery, probably paying extra for shipping. But if you order too many, well, you've just thrown money away on materials you now have to figure out how to get rid of. Today, we're going to solve this dilemma for good.
So how do we get it right every single time? Well, the secret isn't just counting individual bricks, it's about understanding the space they take up. The key that unlocks the entire calculation is one core idea, and it's all about something called the nominal size.
Now, this is a real game changer in how you think about this. The nominal size isn't just the brick itself, it's the brick plus the mortar that holds it in place. So check out this example. A standard 190mm brick, once you add that 10mm mortar joint all around it, actually fills a 200mm space. We don't calculate with the brick, we calculate with the block of space it fills. This is absolutely crucial. Okay, so once you've got that principle down, there are really two main ways to figure out your count. First up is calculating by area. This is perfect for single-layer walls, veneers, that kind of thing. It's fast, it's easy. Then you have the volume method. This one's a bit more detailed, and it's what you'll want for those big, thick structural walls or foundations. We're going to start with the one you'll probably use most often.
All right, let's make this real. Imagine you're building a simple garden wall, or maybe adding a cool brick feature inside. The area method is going to be your best friend. Let's walk through it, step by step.
And honestly, it really is this simple. Step 1, figure out the total area of your wall in square meters. Just length times height. Easy. Step 2, you need to know the magic number, the standard number of bricks it takes to cover 1 square meter. And step 3, you just multiply those two numbers together. That's it. You've got your brick count.
So what is that magic number? Well, for a standard Aussie brick with a 10mm mortar joint, it's 48. 48. Just burn that number into your brain. So if you have a 10 square meter wall, you need 480 bricks. It's an awesome benchmark. Of course, if you're using different size bricks, just look up the specific count for that size. Fantastic. You've got your brick count locked in. But what about the glue that holds the whole thing together? Your mortar is just as important, and getting the right strength comes down to the mix ratio of cement to sand. Let's make sure we get that right too. As you can see right here, not all mortar is the same. A 1:6 ratio of cement to sand, that's your go-to for most standard jobs. But hey, if you're building something that needs to carry a heavy load, you'll want to beef that up to a stronger 1:4 mix. And for really tough jobs or places that get a lot of moisture, you go even richer with a 1:3 mix. Now, here's a pro tip that catches so many people off guard. The amount of wet mortar you need is not the same as the amount of dry materials you need to go buy. Why? Well, it's because of air. When you mix cement, sand, and water, the little cement particles fill in all the tiny air gaps between the sand grains. Your mix actually shrinks. So, to end up with the right amount, you have to calculate the total dry volume first. And here is the number that makes that whole process easy: 1.33. This is your dry coefficient. You figure out the volume of wet mortar you need for all your joints, and then you just multiply it by 1.33. That simple multiplication accounts for all that shrinkage and those air voids, giving you the correct amount of dry cement and sand to buy. It's a lifesaver, trust me. Okay, we've nailed bricks and mortar, but projects don't happen in a perfect little bubble, do they? Bricks get dropped, they have to be cut, and most walls have holes in them for things like doors and windows. So let's talk about the final tweaks that separate a beginner's estimate from a professional one. This right here is the golden rule for pretty much any construction job. Stuff happens. Bricks break, you'll make cuts that leave behind unusable little pieces, you might even find a few duds in the pallet. To cover all that, you have to add a wastage factor. The standard rule of thumb is to add an extra 5 to 10% to your final brick count. This chart really shows it perfectly. Think of your order like this. 90% of it is for the wall itself, but that extra 10%, that's your safety net. It's the critical buffer that means one broken brick doesn't totally derail your project. And believe me, ordering that little bit extra up front is always
always cheaper than having to place a whole new delivery order later.
Now let's talk about the opposite problem. While we add extra for wastage, we have to subtract for openings. I know, it sounds obvious, right? But you'd be amazed how often this step gets missed. You are not putting bricks where your door and window are, so you definitely shouldn't be paying for them.
And the formula for this is just beautiful in its simplicity. For any rectangle-shaped opening, you just calculate its volume. That's length times height times the thickness of the wall. You take that number and subtract it from your total. This makes sure you're only ordering the bricks you're actually going to put in the wall.
All right, we've covered a ton of ground here, from nominal sizes to dry coefficients and everything in between. So let's pull it all together into one final, super clear blueprint that you can use on any project you've got coming up. Here it is, your checklist for a perfect estimate every time. First, always, and I mean always, think in nominal size. That's the brick plus the mortar. Second, for simple walls, use that easy area method. Third, pick the right mortar mics and don't forget that dry coefficient. And last, make those real-world adjustments. Add 5 to 10% for waste and subtract for all your openings.
So there you have it. The mystery is gone. The math is actually pretty straightforward, the concepts are clear, and now you have the exact knowledge you need to plan and buy materials like a pro. The only question left is, what are you going to build?